Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to access the Chicago Style Citation Guides and walk you through a few examples of 3 of the most common sources you will probably need to cite in your work. So, to first access the Chicago Style Citation Guides, on the Bakersfield College homepage, click Services and Resources, scroll down, click Library, and then click the Research tab, and under Additional Resources you will see that citation guides are the third option here. So click that, and you will be taken to all this writing style guides that we have available. And the Chicago Style is a PDF, a kind of bite-sized version of all the essential information you need, as well as a link to the Purdue Online Writing Lab Chicago Style website, which is very helpful if you want more comprehensive information. The PDF gives a general breakdown of the guidelines for your paper, how your paper should look, what the font should be, what the font size should be, and whatnot. But the most important part of this are the sources here. So Chicago Style has 2 different types of source citations that you will need. Within the paper itself, you need to add footnotes to the bottom of your page, and you also need your own bibliography at the end of your assignment. Now, the good thing is that the footnotes and bibliography versions of your sources are not very different. You just have to slightly switch the order a little bit, and I will walk you through how to do that. The first source that we're going to do is a journal from a database, because this will likely be the most common source you will be using. So here we have the information for the article. It is titled Artificial Intelligence, the Ambiguous Labor Market Impact of Automating Prediction. We have 3 authors here. And then we also have the journal that it appears in, the volume and issue number of that journal, as well as the date, and the pages that this spans, as well as the permalink or DOI listed below. So I'm going to show you how to do both the footnote and the bibliography version of your citation. So first, we're going to do the footnote, what belongs in your paper on the bottom of the page when you reference this particular article. You would list the authors first, and they just go exactly how they are ordered given to us here. But since we do have 3 or more authors, we can only list the first author and use the phrase et al. So we don't invert the names here, last name, first name, or anything like that. We just have it exactly as it's listed. So for this particular article, we would write Ajay, Agrawal, it's the name, and then et al. Then we would put the title of the article in quotation marks, in this case, Artificial Intelligence, the Ambiguous Labor Market Impact of Automating Prediction. Then we would list the journal that it appears in, the Journal of Economic Perspectives, the volume number, the issue number, which is number 2, and then in parentheses, we have to put the year that it was released, in this case, spring 2019. So we would put all of that in parentheses. Then we would use a colon. And here, since we're using a footnote, we have to put the page that we used specifically. In the footnote version of our articles or sources, we don't list the entire page span. We only list the page that we used in our particular instance on our assignment. So we would just, in this case, let's just say we're quoting from page 32. So we would just put 32, and then we would provide the link. And that is it. Now, for the bibliography version, what goes at the end of the paper, think of it as like your works cited or references page, is very similar, except here we do invert the author's names with the last name going first. So in this case, it would be Agrawal Ajay et al., title of the article in quotations, the journal title, volume and issue number, the date, the specific date, the year, and now we list the entire page span. So in this case, we would put 31 through 50, and then provide that same link. So that's how you would include citations both in the paper itself as a footnote or at the end of your paper in the bibliography. And now moving on, we're going to go to an ebook because this is also probably a common source that you will use. So here, it follows a similar kind of pattern here. So in the essay or paper or assignment itself, you just list the authors as given. In this case, it's just James M. Nichols, so that's what we put. Then we put the title of the book, in this case, Artificial Intelligence, Advances, Ethics, and Strategies. And since that's the title of a book, we italicize that. And then the next piece of information we have is the city of publication, the publication date, and the company. So if we just scroll down here, we can find where this was published. Where was it? So it was published in New York by the company S. Nova, and it was published in 2024. And then similarly, we would only cite the page that we are including or quoting in our work in the footnote, but on the bibliography, of course, we would list the entire, well, you wouldn't have to list the entire page span of the book, but not for a book. But you would invert the last name first, so in this case it would be Nichols, comma, James M., then the title, and then the city of publication, New York, and then S. Nova, and then 2024, and you don't have to list the whole entire page span here. And the last source, just a general website. In this case, we're just using HistoryNet. And for this one, again, kind of similar, but for the footnote, you start with the author's name as given. So we would start Steve Friesen. That is the author's name for this article. This particular webpage is called The Top Books and Films About Buffalo Bill Cody. So you would put that in quotation marks because that's the name of the webpage. And then you would put the website that it appears from. So in this case, it would be HistoryNet. And then you would see when it was published. In this case, we have the publication date right next to the name. So we would put the publication date, and then we list the URL. We would just copy and paste from the top here and include that on our paper, in our footnotes and in our bibliography. And just like all the other sources, for your bibliography version of this, all you would do would be to invert the author's name and start with their last name first. So in this case, it would be Friesen Steve. And those are the most common sources that you will probably need to cite in your work. Luckily, the difference between the footnote version and bibliography version of these citations are not too different. Most of the changes are just by either inverting or not the author's name. If you have any more questions on the Chicago style formatting, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach out to me or any other friendly BC librarian because we are here to help.